What's going on, guys? It's Coach Noob back in the building with another one. This one, well, it's been going viral. It's about an inmate who crossed past the intake guard to try to rape a female detainee, and I'm gonna be checking in. Just giving my opinion on it. So it'll probably go with the thinking with the big head and not the little head series. Uh, let's check it out.
Officials say a sexual predator who was in lockup for allegedly attacking multiple women was caught on camera scooting his way across the jailhouse floor to allegedly assault another woman. You gotta see this video, and we're gonna break it down from multiple angles with prison consultant Justin Paperny. Welcome to Sidebar, presented by Law and Crime. I'm Jesse Weber. You gotta hear this one. Arizona officials say that an inmate at an intake facility was able to sneak past a deputy and try to sexually assault a woman.
Yeah, and that's messed up. And the reason why I'm even making this video is, well, to give my opinion on it, and just for guys, who's watching my channel, man. When you give into your flesh, and you're not mentally straight and spiritually straight. This is the kind of stuff that happens, man. And for those of you who know, like, we wrestle not against flesh, but against principalities, man, and principles. So, this guy doesn't have any spiritual awareness. That's, one thing that's for sure. And he clearly doesn't, have any respect for himself. He doesn't have any respect for others. And I'm going to let them talk a little bit and check in, like I said, and then I'll fast forward to the actual part where the guy sneaks past a prison guard, and then we'll have some more talking points.
Yes. To talk about this, I want to bring in prison consultant and friend of the show, Justin Paperny. Justin, good to see you. First, before we even get into the video, and there is a lot to get into, what are inmate intake facilities? First, walk us through that.
Well, when you're taken into custody, there's a whole process. You are going to get naked, or as they say, squat and cough, to make sure you're not smuggling anything in. They'll ask you tons of questions. They'll give you a prison uniform. They'll drug test you. You'll go through a breathalyzer, and after several hours, at times through segregation or sitting in a little hole waiting for them to come back and forth, they'll process you in. And several hours later, there you are, sitting in prison. The intake process can be anywhere from an hour to several hours, depending on how many people they're processing.
Okay, so with that in mind, and that was a great setup to talk about this scenario.
Yeah, but there's still no excuse for him to do what he did. You're waiting there for hours. You're there so you can get out of there and not go back in there, man. Hopefully, learn your lesson just from being in intake, man. Just going to the bullpen, getting a court date, bro. So, this guy, and for him to do that kind of thing, he was not thinking clearly at all, man. He was just purely thinking with his dick, bro, at the end of the day. And fellas, I say that all the time, man. Like, you have to be logical and rational at all times, man. You know what I'm saying? Not getting drunk, not getting high all the time. Is it okay to party sometimes if you want to? Sure it is, man. But is it okay to, do too much to the point where you're incoherent or don't remember? Hell no. I'm not saying that's what, this guy was hired, not, who knows, but clearly he wasn't thinking in, a rational or from a logical place, man. He was just being thirsty.
So this happened back in April, and the Maricopa County Sheriff's Office just released the video. There are multiple camera angles that show us different views of this alleged sneak attack. So first, a little bit of background here. We have 29-year-old Justin Avery. He was at the intake, transfer, and release facility after he allegedly assaulted 5 different women in public places on the Arizona State University campus in Tempe. He was
All right, so this guy has a history of doing stuff like that, man, which is, it already shows where his mind is and where it was when he did that. So it was on getting some coaching, man. And that is a mental problem when you have to take it from a female, man. Because honestly, man, if she likes you and a female likes you, bro, you don't have to take anything, bro. You shouldn't ever have to take anything anyway from a female, bro. Like, that's lower level, bro. That's lower level thinking. And that's coming really from a place of dysfunction, bro. Like, who knows how he was raised, who knows his background or whatever he's been through. But that's still no excuse to do what he did. And then just to have like, damn, 5 females is probably way more than that under his belt, man. And then to be in and out for that, sometimes they just need to hold guys in there, man, until they can get their mind right, man. Like, yeah, it's innocent dudes in there, but this one is clearly a case of this guy can't control himself, man, and he needs help with that for real.
arrested outside of a library because authorities say he didn't have any connection with ASU, but he allegedly used the campus as his hunting grounds.
Yeah, because he kept getting out and he kept going right back there because he knew he was going to keep getting out from what he was doing. So he got comfortable.
Now, court documents allege that he targeted women at random, mostly in parking garages, groping them. This is according to reports.
A secluded area, probably not that many people coming in and out the parking garage, so he probably had his timing down or whatever. So he knew exactly what he was doing.
From the victims, one woman says that Avery tried to strangle her, so she ended up kicking him in the groin to get him to stop. Now, Avery appeared.
She did what she had to do to get away, and kudos to her for having that kind of awareness and to not be taken advantage of like that. And it's a messed up thing that all those women had to get traumatized like that, bro. Like, this guy, he's traumatizing not only the women, but the people who they associate with. Who knows if they have boyfriends or husbands or whatever. And, you're just affecting the lives of not only yourself, but everyone around you. And you guys know I speak a lot about that too. How the decisions that we make affect not only us, but everyone around us. And this is another prime example of that.
For an Arizona judge.
He is a repeat sexual predator attacking 5 women here. It is just extremely unfortunate that the victims could fight the defendant off to prevent the crimes going to their full extent.
You know what's difficult? You know what's tough? Reading through legal briefs and filings to prepare for sidebar.
All right, so I'm going to just fast forward past to the actual place where they show the footage of what he was doing. Okay, about right here.
It's April 17th. So this room is divided into 2 sections. There's a waiting area for women, and then there's another one for men. There's a desk at the dividing line where a deputy sits, supposed to be keeping an eye on things. It's almost 4 in the morning at this point, so a lot of the detainees are trying to sleep. Some are in street clothes, others are in orange jail jumpsuits, and a lot of them have huddled down inside their shirts to try to stay warm or to block out the light. Some are spread out on the floor, and that includes our suspect, Avery. So Avery, as you see in this video, seems to get up off the floor, stretches, appears to wait for one of the deputies to leave the room,
That guy don't even want to look him in the eye.
slides out of view of the deputy, allegedly crawling and pushing himself backwards around the desk.
I don't know how the prison guard or the intake guard didn't see that, man. That's wild though. Like he's got to be way more aware than that, man. What is this dude? He's so into the computer. He might be watching porn. Who knows, man? That guy. But he's clearly his mind is somewhere else, and it's not on his job today.
To get away with this for a little over a minute as he pushes himself toward a woman in white who's trying to sleep on the floor of the woman's side of the room. Then you have other cameras. They give us a.
And then you see how far he is from the guard now. You mean to tell me he gets all the way over there to the woman, and this dude doesn't see him one time? That's crazy.
View of Avery getting closer to the woman before he appears and allegedly starts to pull his pants down and expose himself. Now, there are other women sitting in the same area. One appears to be asleep on the floor, while the other is in a chair. It's unclear from the video if she says something to Avery, but he seems to put his finger to his lips in a.
Yeah, he told her to shut the fuck up. You see, trying to get at this woman, but then again, the woman was the only one who said something, man. None of those dudes over there said anything, and it's easily a good 10 guys over there, man. And none of them acted like they saw anything, so you know where their mentality's at, too. I mean, I don't know if they were afraid because they had to be in the bullpen with this guy or something, and they don't want to get beat up or something, but, and just anybody who has daughters or women in their life, nobody wants anything like that to happen to them. And even though she's in jail, I mean, she doesn't deserve to get raped while she's sleeping though, and it looks like she slept through the whole thing actually. So I wonder if how far it would have went at the point where she would have woke up. But luckily, it didn't get to that. And it's a shame that the woman was the one that had to say something to alert the intake guard.
Be quiet gesture. Court documents say the woman said, "Hey, get off of her," and that's when Avery allegedly shushed her. And that is when the deputy looks up, realizes what's going on, realizes that Avery's on the wrong side of the room, and as soon as he's spotted, Avery appears to stand up, pulling up his pants as he walks away from the woman on the floor. According to court documents, he later admitted he planned to rape her. So the deputy pulls out restraints, has a conversation with Avery for a few seconds before more deputies show up, put the cuffs on him. Avery seems to resist a little bit as they take him to another part of the.
So, man, that guard looked like he was kind of scared to put the cuffs on him until the other one showed up, bro. So that's another thing too, man. Like sometimes a job can get it, a little dangerous, a little raunchy. You're gonna have to do what you have to do in there, and are you prepared to do what you have to do in there? Like, what if that guy just felt like knocking out an intake guard and trying to get out of there? Now that was the only one in there with him, man, and something clearly it does have to be done. Now there's 3 chairs back there, but there's only one intake guard, and just my personal opinion, there should always be at least 2 guards in there, and that way something like this won't happen. Is there going to be any punishment to that particular guard for the thing that happened? I don't know. Should it be? Probably some type of reprimand or something, should go on because he clearly wasn't paying attention. He let a guy sneak all the way past him and make it to the female. And that makes it seem like if the other female wouldn't have said anything, then the one female in the white would have probably got raped. And we know that that was that guy's intentions to rape that other, to rape that female. So, in my opinion, yeah, something should happen to that guard. Put him on janitor duty or something, man, and get at least 2 guards in there at all times. So, again, something like this wouldn't happen. And they say that jail's been open for a number of years and nothing like that has ever happened. Okay, cool. And at the same time, you're supposed to always take precautions so something like that doesn't ever happen. And clearly, in the beginning of the video, well, from this part, we saw that he actually waited for the other sheriff to go into the other room, man, close the door. And he's really bold for that too, because what if the other sheriff would have came back in there at any time? He did not care. You know, he has no respect for anything or anyone. Clearly thinking this is a perfect example of what thinking with your dick could do, man. And he was already in trouble because he's in there, and now he just added on to his troubles, man. And it's a damn shame, bro. Like, this is what happens when we're not thinking clearly, bro. When we're not thinking about building, when we're not putting ourselves first, you know, and when we just, you know, we let the flesh, you know, get the best of us, man. We have to be way better than that. Again, mentally, physically, and spiritually.
Facility. So, Justin, I am made of questions. First question I have: why were no restraints put on him? Or is that not what happens in these kind of intake facilities?
Sometimes they happen. It would be a discretion of the correctional officer. Clearly, there was a breakdown. Someone didn't think that it was necessary. So that's breakdown number one. We can go on and on. Two, there aren't that many prisoners inside of that detention center, which tells me it shouldn't be that hard to oversee them. Three, you can look to the makeup, that you have male prisoners so close to female prisoners. That's fine if they're nonviolent offenders. You'll see that in halfway houses across the country, male and female prisoners inside of the same institution living 15, 20 feet from one another. But when you have alleged sex offenders so close to women, it's a problem. So I suspect they're going to go through protocol.
Well, that shouldn't matter either. It should be that they're closely monitored at all times so this type of thing doesn't happen, man. Because an intake facility is an intake facility. That's where you intake everybody to get checked in and go to the bullpen, man. And you know, it shows a lack of wherewithal, and the guard really obviously his mind was somewhere else, man. It was not on that job. Whatever he was looking at on the computer was more important than just paying attention, looking up, looking, you know, around every minute or so, every couple minutes. Just look up, look around and see if everything's cool, man. He said this guy did that for clearly over a minute, man. And like I said, if that woman wouldn't have said anything, none of those guys would have said anything, man. He would have looked over there when he heard the other girl moaning and screaming or something in terror to get off of her. Like, man. So, I mean, do I agree with them that I just think that they should put at least two guards in that room at all times. So, definitely this sort of thing wouldn't happen because clearly he stood up and yawn, fake yawn, whatever he was doing when the other guard, you know, was in there, and he clearly waited for him to leave. And I truly believe it wouldn't have happened if that other guard wouldn't have left out that room and would have stayed there the whole time.
Look at all of these breakdowns, including holding correctional officers accountable, and there does have to be consequences for correctional officers here. Without consequences, Jesse, then it can just continue. It's going to happen again. Someone needs to be held to account. A woman suffered. They're supposed to be protected while inside of detention. And if anything, you know, she's continued to be victimized. And I hope this person who's going to be in prison for quite some time gets some mental health training, some correctional, some benefit, some education on the inside, because it's likely he's not going to get a life sentence if he pleads guilty. There's no chance. So
yeah, and he does need mental help, but at the same time, he was thinking about what he was doing, man. He thought about sneaking past that guard, and he was successful with that. He thought about raping that woman, and he was unsuccessful with that. Luckily, with the help of another inmate in there. You know, so mental evaluation, and then it's not like it's his first time. He's obviously a serial rapist, man. This guy just likes to take coochie from women, bro. And you know that's not cool at all, bro. Like I said, you should never have to do something like that, man. And that's just showing a lack of spiritual awareness, man, mental, you know what I'm saying, awareness, just a lack thereof. And obviously, man, he knew he could overpower that female, and she was asleep, so who knows what he was gonna do when he actually got her pants down, and you know what I'm saying, he pulled his pants down, so he was gonna really take it there, man. He risked it all in an intake, man. And well, yeah, he does need some kind of mental help for what he's doing, man. 'Cause it's some type of sex demon. You know what I'm saying? That's on him, man, and he needs help shaking that off.
Breakdowns here, it has to be addressed, but there has to be consequences for this correctional officer. If not, people are going to say, this can happen and this person doesn't get fired. I can do just about anything here.
As we're trying to sort out, like, who's at fault, you could say maybe it was the facility for not properly segregating these different people, and especially if you knew that Avery has this history. But I also want to question the deputy that's in that room. Now, you see Avery allegedly crawling under the desk. He later describes it as spider-like, acting like a spider. Do you put any fault? Who do you put on fault? Do you put any fault on the deputy? Who should we be thinking about is at fault here?
Well, yeah, some fault should go to the deputy for not being aware and letting a guy literally crawl past him and then get all the way over to the woman's side of that facility and then actually pull his pants down and then be able to tell the other woman to be quiet. He just, yeah, so I don't know, you know, if he should be fired or what, but I definitely know if it was two to at least two guards in there, then that sort of thing is far less likely to happen. And it probably wouldn't have ever happened, and they would have had a 100% success rate for their intake. Now they don't, so they're gonna have to go through protocol. And to answer your question, yes, something should, happen, and the guard should be at some type of fault.
Everyone within that institution, part of the only thing prisons care about are two things: keeping costs down and security of the institution, right? So responsibility rests with everyone who worked inside of that prison, from the top all the way down. Someone's going to get fired. There have to be consequences here. This prisoner is clearly mentally ill, is unable to see right from wrong, and even in a confined setting.
He knew it was wrong, but he just didn't care, and he risked it, man. And he was almost successful with it. And that's another prime example of, thinking with your dick, bro. You make decisions that you wouldn't normally make. And clearly he was going to hit it raw. He don't know if she got diseases or anything, but he really didn't care. So, he had some type of mental awareness, but then again, he does need some type of mental evaluation at the same time, just to see, what's going on up there, man. Because it's just clear that all he's thinking about is sex, and that's it.
To continue to victimize her, and hurt, as he said, was attempting to rape another woman. So responsibility rests with the institution. They know that, and they're fearing for their jobs, and more changes are going to be coming. I mean, this would be different if this was like 1,000 people inside of this institution, but there were very few male and female prisoners there, which tells you it should not be that.
Well, there's at least 10 males in that room, maybe even more. My camera's blocking that side, but there's a good at least 10 in there, and there's a good 2 to 3 females. So the men do outnumber the women, and there's only one guard. So let's say 10 men plus 3 women, that's 13, and there's one guard in there, so 13 to 1. Those aren't good odds. You definitely need at least, I'd say 2, and then if there's over 15 or at 15 people in the room, even 3 guards in there. So definitely the department has some reevaluating to do. in that situation.
Hard to oversee them at any hour of the day. Huge breakdown, and it has to change.
And he didn't think that there was surveillance cameras? Look.
Yeah, he knew about that, but he just didn't care. And again, that's what thinking with your dick does for you, man. You make irrational decisions, and you you just don't care about certain things, and you'll risk your life for a couple minutes of pleasure. It can bring a lifetime of pain, as they say, man. And that's again another perfect example of exactly what was going to happen, man. He was going to get caught either way it went, and I believe he knew that. He just really didn't care.
He might have, I mean, again, he might have thought he would evade detection from.
They don't care.
But yeah.
So when you're ill and you're so obsessed or consumed with continuing to victimize people, and I think I read that he had saw this woman and clearly found her attractive. He's already in prison. He's already looking at a lengthy sentence. Clearly doesn't understand right from wrong. What's the risk if he gets caught? They send him to segregation?
No, he knew that was wrong. He just didn't care that it was wrong. Like, but the majority of the people know between right and wrong, and the ones who just act on it, he acted on impulse, and he knew that raping that woman was wrong because he knew that the first five before her was wrong, and going in and out of jail was wrong for that. He, again, like you said, he just didn't care.
Someone he might could care less about that. The reward was very much worth the risk, and he might have been studying that prison, looking at the lack of protocols.
No, it wasn't worth the risk, and that reward was definitely not worth that risk, man. But you said it right the first time. He just didn't care.
The breakdown might have noticed this person kind of goes off the grid or falling asleep at 4 a.m. So if you're conniving or criminal enough, you're going to seize an opportunity, find an opening, even if you're in a detention center. Clearly this person did, and for 90 seconds he was victimizing this woman, and as you said, could have been successful. Has to be changes.
Yeah, it does, man. All right, fellas, I think I'm gonna wrap it up right here, man. I just had to give you guys my take on that, and of course, like, man, it's a sad thing, but it's a good example for you guys out there, man, who are going through stuff to just, use this as an example to think logically, man, and think about how your decisions affect you and everyone around you, spiritually, mentally, and physically. Those are very important things, man. You have to remember that every day. And they didn't say anything about him being high or anything, so he probably wasn't. He probably just, was willing to risk it all because he knew he was going to be in there for a minute. Cameras and all, guards and all, he just pulled it, and the risk wasn't worth the reward, man. But, just touching that base on, like getting drunk, smoking weed or something, bro. I know people are going to do what they do, man, but just do it in moderation, bro, and be aware, you know what I'm saying? Don't do it to the point where someone could take advantage of you, and then you put yourself in a worse position, man, or a bad position from getting high or getting drunk, man. But again, guys, I'm Coach Noob, and if you like this kind of content, man, like, share, comment, and subscribe. All right, until next time, fellas.